Craig, 2 weeks off and we're back into league action. Trip to Barrow on Sunday. How are you feeling ahead of the trip up to Cumbria?
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think the break came at a decent time. I think it was pretty obvious last couple of games that we played with the number of injuries that we had, and people playing out of position struggled quite a considerable amount with numbers that were available, and even going into the York game we had pretty much 16 players, and Ollie Roberts put his hand up who weren't due to be playing. So Ollie put his hand up and did as long as he could. So I think the break has come at a decent time for us. Got a few bodies back available for selection, and we had a really good positive meeting yesterday. Good positive training session. Lots of contacts, lots of physicality in that session, lots of energy. So I think that little bit of a break that weekend off, it's maybe re-energised a few people, and there's a couple of people that aren't too far off being back available as well.
We're at the midpoint now in the season. Another 13 games to go in the Championship. Obviously, it's a big test. This weekend going to Barrow. We're obviously up in the playoffs, but just reflect on the first 13 games we've had. I can imagine you've been quite disappointed, obviously, where we currently are. And has it been kind of like, well, what's been your expectancy for the first half of the season since coming in?
It's that transition, isn't it? Whenever this transition, there's things that don't go as planned. Obviously, you want as many players available as you possibly can. I think we've suffered with quite a lot of injuries. I don't think there's been a week gone by so far where we've had a full 21 squad that we've named that are fit and able to play. So that's impacted on us. I think the 15 competitive games that we've played, including the Cup, we've had 8 different half-back and full-back combinations. So any sort of successful team or consistent team have that consistency in that spine, which is generally 1, 6, 7, 9 and 13, but predominantly 1, 6 and 7, and we've had 8 different combinations in them games, and then 2 other games where we lost a 1, 6 or a 7. So 66% of our games we've had people playing at 1, 6 or 7 that aren't normally a 1, 6 or 7. So it's been a little bit difficult in that respect. So it's been frustrating at times, disappointing with some of the games that we've played. Defensively, not been quite where we need to be. So we've spoke quite a lot about that. Hopefully now we're at the halfway point of the season. There's been a lot of, trials and tribulations on and off the field at the club from the start of the season. So I think that Challenge Cup final weekend, we've maybe drawn a line in the sand on that now, and we're looking forward to the second half of the season. Hopefully we can kick on and have a real good dig for these last bunch of league games that we've got.
Nice long trip up north to Cumbria. As I say, Barrow are obviously going well this year. They're 6th in the playoffs. What have you made of their season so far?
Oh, they're very good, mate. They're a really good team, really competitive team. They've predominantly been together for quite a few years. None of their players have got that consistency. So they're 1, 6, 7, 9 and 13. They're very good, very consistent. Ryan Johnson at half-back, Brad Walker at half-back, very good players. So I think they're a formidable opponent, and I think they've played really well this year. And some of the games where they've just battled, they're a really gritty, determined team that just keep playing for the 80 minutes. They've got some skill as well, some pace on the wings with Bullman and T. Ritson. So they've got plenty of threats across the park, and we're expecting a real tough, competitive, physical battle, and I'm sure they'll give us that.
They always say in rugby league that it's always tough going up to Cumbria, no matter who you play, whether it's Whitehaven, Workington or Barrow. So what is it about going up there that makes it quite a tough afternoon for sides?
It's just it's a different day. Normally when you're playing at home or you're playing away, either Yorkshire or Lancashire, you get up at the same time, you eat at the same time, you've got that shorter journey. When you're playing in Cumbria, you're setting off at sort of 8, half 8 in the morning. Your sleep's a little bit different. Your feeding times, and your fluid times are different as well. And the sort of 3.5 hour journey that you've got up there to Cumbria as well is a lot different to what you normally do. I know the counter argument to that is that the Cumbrian teams have got to do it coming the other way around, but they do it every other week. So they're a little bit more at home and used to doing that. It's part and parcel of their season, whereas I guess we do it twice a year, the Cumbria and London. Obviously we went down to London and won there, so hopefully that's a bit of a blueprint for us to follow on how to go up to Cumbria and get a win.
As we say, obviously now having these 2 weeks, obviously came at probably a good time and halfway point in the season. Getting some players back now, that'll obviously be key. How are we looking ahead of the trip to Barrow with player availability?
Yeah, a little bit better than we have been for the last couple of weeks. Massimo Tongo's back available for selection. Alex Foster's back. Connor Bauer's back. We've got the Huddersfield boys are available. Jensen from Castleford and Josh Hodson, who's coming in from Castleford, he's available as well. So we've got a little bit of strength in depth in them positions. Still struggling in the half-back department. So we might have to sort of cobble together some sort of combination there and work out what's going to be the best combination for us to play at the weekend. We've got a few options in mind, and we'll work on that in these last couple of sessions that we've got before going there. A couple of other players that aren't too far off. Joel Farrell is back in full training. Nick Staveley is back in pretty much full training. He had a real good dig last night, and it was good to see Faz back out there throwing his weight about in the full contact session that we had. So I think he'll be fit and raring to go for the Doncaster game, I think.
Sounding really healthy with the injury front there. Just how beneficial is it going to be for us in that second half of the season, having all these players coming back to give you say there plenty of competition for your 21?
Yeah, I think a lot of people just see what happens on a Sunday, on 80 minutes on a Sunday, because ultimately that's what you're judged by, but it just impacts on you in training. We've got 3 training sessions a week, and that's the last couple of weeks we've had 12, 14 people training, no half-backs, which you can't really do a great deal. So in terms of getting that consistency and combinations and the continuity and the fluidity in your attacking shape, and even when you're trying to practice your defensive stuff, when you've got no people there that are going to play in that position on an edge or in that middle unit, it's difficult to put some effective practice in place. So we're judged ultimately on what happens on a Sunday, but you've got to put the plans in place on the Tuesday, Wednesday and the Friday sessions as well. And if you haven't got the numbers, it's really difficult just to rock up and try and get 17 bodies on the field on a Sunday and put in a performance. So when you've got bodies back and that competition for places, and we had a real good training session last night. There was some real good physicality, some great contact out there, and that's what you want as a coach. You want that competition. You want people fighting for places rather than like it's been pretty much all season. If you're fit and available, you're going to play. So hopefully we can get pretty much everybody back fit and raring to go. We can have that competition and people fighting for the spots.
Just how pleased are you to bring Josh Hodgson in, obviously on an initial 2-week from Castleford, but he's someone that you obviously know really, really well, having had him previously at Batley and Castleford. Yeah,
he's a good bloke as well. Really, really good bloke. I had him for a few seasons at Batley, and got to a Wembley final with him and a grand final with him as well. Took him to Castleford. He's had a couple of interrupted seasons with injury and illness, and he's back fit and raring to go. Obviously, like I say, I know him. I know what he can bring. I know what he can do. I know what his qualities are. He's obviously worked with me, so he knows how I work as well, and we're sort of comfortable around each other. So I think he'll bring us a little bit of quality out there on edge, a bit more strike as well, and physicality in defence. And we've got some bodies back, like I said, this week, but we're also going to be missing a couple of people on the edge as well. So we've got a few rotations to make out on the edge department. So he certainly helps us potentially strengthen that.
Another player you know really well, Martin Riley. Obviously, he made his debut at York the other week. Jensen Windley came in as well. So what about them are they going to bring to this Eagles side?
Yeah, again, I've worked with both of them. Again, with Martin. Martin's played for me at Batley, and again, just a real good physical competitor. He's been around now. The Championship I think he's earned his stripes. I think he'd been to Sheffield before and maybe weren't the player he was previously when he was at Sheffield. We took him when I was at Batley from Sheffield, and he gave us a real good couple of seasons there. And he's been at Widnes as well. We've made a vice captain at Widnes when he went to Widnes, so he's got that leadership quality, and he's just come in and he's been great for us straight away in the game and in training as well. Jensen, young halfback, he's again a competitor. Gave him his debut at Castleford, played the last 5 games of the season at Castleford, and he's got I think he's got a real bright future in the game. It's a massive learning curve for him as well, as a 19, 20-year-old kid coming into a new team, but also being the only halfback and trying to lead the team around as well. And he did that prior to the York game after training with the team for 1 hour on the Friday, which is really difficult for anybody still, let alone a young kid making his way in the game. But the more he trains with us, the more he plays with us, I think we'll see his qualities and his certainly running threat, and he gives us, like I said, that running threat and that edge hopefully in the halfback position.
And as hard as it is, as we've been talking about with the players available and missing out through injury, you gave Jane Billy his debut at York. Just how patient has he had to be, obviously, to get his chance when he did?
Yeah, I've been real pleased for Jaden, because he's as a kid he's absolutely first class. He does the extras after training. He's always asking questions, really keen and eager to learn. He'd been out of the game for pretty much 18 months when he was at Huddersfield. Didn't play for, I said, pretty much 18 months with some bad hamstring injuries. So he's had to bide his time, and I think he acquitted himself pretty well on the edge. I think a little bit of rustiness there, but I think the longer the game went, he grew into it offensively, defensively on on the edge. We got caught positionally a couple of times, but that's bound to happen when you've not played for so long. It's just good to get him back out there on the field and make his I guess adult debut, professional debut in the pro game.
And obviously now, as we approach this second half of the season, just how important is it that we obviously utilise this Barrow game maybe as a new starting point and try and go out there and get a string of wins together?
Yeah, so we need to start winning. That is, hopefully we can do that this weekend, but if it's not this weekend, we've got to build into that. And some of the things that we've not been great at this season is building into games. I think we've maybe looked for shortcuts too often for a quick fix, but we've got to learn how to get into a game. Things that we can control is how hard we work and how competitive that we are. And I think ultimately for us, that's got to be our goal for this second half of the season, is that we've got to work harder than any team that we play against. We can control that. A lot of the hard work stuff, it's not skill, it's not execution. It's basically, it's a desire, it's a will, it's a want. You can control that. So for us to get into games, and particularly if we've not got half-backs that are playing in the positions that they need to play in, then we've got to outwork teams. So that's something that we need to be better at. We can control that, have that next job mentality. I think too many times this season we've been, I guess when we've conceded a penalty or we've conceded an area, we've been too easy to break down. So we need to be more resilient in times of adversity and get that next job mentality into us, which was part of the session that we had last night, is putting them in sort of situations where they're going to be physically drained and challenged and see how they react to it, see how they react in that adversity. And I was really pleased with how I did that last night, but we've got to do that consistently through the season.